All right, come and watch me paint this little boy and his chicken sidekick. I really love paintings like this. Probably my favorite kind is like the nostalgic farm vibes. I grew up on a little farm, and so I really love painting this kind of stuff. It goes really well with my art style, which is more of a loose acrylic painting type style. And I'm going to talk about that a little further in the video, why I paint this way. But starting off, I like to put on the darkest colors first. So I want to talk a little bit about value. Paintings, really, the colors are important, but what's even more important is the value. So basically what that means, like if you don't do a whole lot of painting, you don't understand the lingo a lot, if you were to turn this into a black and white image, would it still look right? Would it look okay? And a lot of times, especially with early painters, we think in color, and that's the wrong way to think about it. You need to be thinking in light, mid-tone, and dark. That's the best way that I've found, the most simple way to think about painting. Pick the darkest colors, put those on first, then add some midtones, and then save your lights for later. And that has helped me to create more three-dimensional looking objects. The next thing that I want to talk about is saturation, and goes right along with value. Colors are important, but most of the time when you're trying to paint realistic, right, when you're trying to catch the realism, the colors are so much more desaturated than people want to think. Like, it's ridiculous how desaturated real life is. You know, when you get a bottle of paint and you put it out like a red or a green or an orange, when it comes in the tube, you put it on your palette, that is like way too much color to be useful, especially when you're going for realism, right? Something kind of cool that I've learned is that desaturated colors actually bring a more peaceful, calm kind of vibe to your paintings and help things to look more realistic, because in real life, there's quite a bit more grays and tans and light blue. Like, the world is not nearly as bright and saturated as we think it is in our brains, which sounds kind of depressing now that I say it out loud, but it's true. When you're painting, all these colors are super saturated down. With the white, this is like a super light blue that I'm putting down for his shirt, and it's giving the illusion that he's wearing a light white shirt compared to the blue jeans that he's wearing. I'm using that same dark white, you could call it, to add highlights to his pants, to his overalls. And so that's kind of part of my technique, is I like to, when I have color on my brush, I like to see where else in the painting I can put it before changing colors again. So just because it's really dark, like it's a shadowy part of his shirt, it's a shadow in one place, it's also a highlight in a different place. Another thing, they tell you not to use white. I don't know whoever said that. Like, they say it's a rule that you're never supposed to use pure white. I use it all the time. So say what you like. But okay, this is the worst part of the painting. So you can see here, I'm adding on the eyes, and it's way too dark. It went from like this really cute, charming little boy painting to now it's like a scary looking little kid drawing. And oh my gosh, look at that mouth. That's terrible. He looks like the Joker from the Dark Knight series. The cool thing about acrylic paints is you can see I kind of go over and just lighten up a little bit these edges, especially in the face. If you want a really soft face with not a lot of detail, you have to have really soft transitions. The colors can't go from dark to light immediately. You got to have soft colors. Everything is super subtle, especially from far away. Everything kind of blends together. Like, think about it when you squint your eyes at something. All the harsh lines disappear, and that's kind of how you need to think about painting. If it's a skin tone or if it's the same piece of clothing in different places, there are very few places on your canvas where it's going to go from dark to light immediately. So the last thing I want to talk about in this video is kind of like my painting style, why it is so rough. And keep in mind, this is going to be like a 1-hour painting, so I'm going really fast. But I also have a pretty bad natural shake to my hands, which is kind of funny because this is what I do for a living. I'm a professional artist, and I can't paint a straight line to like save my life. So I kind of had to develop the style of a really rough looking speed technique because I'm not really able to get those super fine details in there. And I actually really like it. It's a painting style that I've really learned to like and enjoy. I feel like it's interesting to look at. It's super simple, and it can be done really quickly. And so that's kind of where it came from. Talking about this chicken some more. Fun thing, I actually thought it was going to be a chick at first. And then I realized that if that was a chick, then that means that boy is like 6 inches tall. So kept working and changed it into a chicken. And here we go. This is the finished product. Cute little boy walking with his chicken. I really like the colors. It's really soft. It's got warm vibes. And yeah, hopefully you could learn something from this video. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see some more of my paintings.